It is Wicked Wednesdays here on the GForce Racing League, and we've got back-to-back races coming at you here tonight. The Supreme Sim Racing Team presenting the first race here tonight, the 2Ws Plumbing Street Stock A Division. Gambler Motorsports pre-race show ended just a moment ago, and we're going to go right into Bandy Built qualifying. So they're out on the track right now. You can see Zach Chapman, who is the current point leader at the top of the time trial list here so far. He comes into tonight with a 25-point lead over Shane Ramtham. Of course, NSM Division standings brought to you by NSM Wraps. That's Wraps with a Z. Make sure to look them up, as they have a whole bunch of people on their staff can paint up a car just like you like it. So like we said, Chapman up by 25 on Shane Ramtham. Stephen Shaw Jr. third in the points. Stephen Spees, we just saw him out there a moment ago. He is fourth, followed by Rob Shaw in fifth. Philip Gom, he's actually just finished his time trial effort, and he is sixth. Nicholas Vickery, Wayne Miller, Troy P. Stewart, and John Hine wind things up there. And of course, later on, we'll be going to the Ashweekend Speedway Race Source Elite Division 360 sprints. I am Doug Elkins. Joe White is down in North Carolina. He is making sure that we are all good behind the scenes. Qualifying just about over here. Joe, how are we doing this evening?
Pretty good. Apologize about the first part there. You kind of got a look of what we look like behind the scenes a little bit. I don't know how in the world that thing got flipped like it did, but I tell you what, we got some good dirt track racing, and it's going to be exciting tonight.
One of the new tracks that came in the last build, Cedar Lake Speedway. This is a 3/8 mile oval. I was taking some laps on this last night, as a matter of fact, to get myself familiar with the track. I like this place. Joe, how about you? I think Joe's doing something behind the scenes. It's okay. That's okay. And they were reminding, I'm catching some of the stuff on the drivers meeting right now, the little thing to the teams there who might be watching. If you have one of the numbers that is in the 900 range, you need to change that. Go to our website, GForceRL.com, and that's how you can find out more about it as well. Remember, GForce runs all over the place, different leagues here. There's 20 different leagues competing during the week. So go there, fill out a profile, find out what's going on, and maybe we'll see you out here racing with us as well. Qualifying heat race number one is gridding up right now. A&J Custom Creations, they bring us heat race number one. They are doing unbelievable stuff. Laser engraving, CNC machining on wood. These are wood plaque trophies. These things that go on the wall and everything. Not like those standard metal trophies that you never seem to be able to find a place to put them. So make sure to look up A&J Custom Creation today. Andy Patton is the guy who does that. Here's our lineup for qualifying heat race here at number one. Let's see, how many heat races are there going to be tonight? There are going to be 3 here this evening, and here's how they line up for heat race number one. Point leader Zach Chapman on the pole, Kyle Parker with them on the front row. Field Miller, Stephen Shaw Jr., they're in row number 2. Mike Schultz, Todd Shaw in row number 3. And the last row, new drivers, Cecil Kirkpatrick and Jeffrey Barker, who is actually managing things behind the scene. Joe has everything all set now. It looks like somebody's got an EOL. Mike Schultz will be going to the back. Remind me, Joe, what does that stand for again? EOL?
In the longest line.
That's right. That's right. I was racking my brain there trying to think of it, and I couldn't. So he'll go to the back of the pack. And now that you say it, I remember it perfectly. But how do you like Cedar Lake, Joe? I know you've been doing some stuff here for a while now.
You know what? I have not. Well, actually, this is the first time, because I believe this is one of the newest tracks that they just added. So I'm not really familiar with it. You might be more familiar with it in real life, but I'm not really familiar with it. So, no, I haven't. Matter of fact, I just bought it back when they did in week 13. So this technically probably, I don't know if this is the first time this series league has run on it, but I do know that this would probably be the first time I broadcasted one. So it's that new. So back in December is when they added this track.
Green flag is out here in qualifying heat race number one. Each qualifying heat race is 8 laps in length. Top 4 will advance to the feature. Everybody else will head to the consolation race. Caution laps do not count, and that's going to be something they'll be doing all night. It looks like one car's falling off the pace there at the back, Joe, as we watch the battle up front. Zach Chapman, your point leader, leads.
That's Jeffrey Barker right there falling off, but still battle up front. Zach Chapman right there along with Kyle Parker and company. Field Miller, they're up there duking it out. Remember, top 4 guys go to the feature here. Field Miller is a man. He's looking the 3rd place spot. Battle up front. They're tagging each other.
Kyle Parker in that spot. Field Miller's the red car right behind him. The car on the top is Stephen Shaw Jr., who has just scored in second that time by. Lead extending now for Chapman.
Yeah, it is. Todd Shaw wants a piece of it, though. He's up there in the 5th place spot. 1 spot out from looking to go into the feature. He's trying to get on the back end there. Miller, as the battle's heating up, though, between Steve Shaw Jr. and Kyle Parker there. But here comes Todd. Boy, he's bringing down the back end, whole field.
And I can see that Stephen Shaw just changed his line. He's going to go to the inside. Like you said, Field Miller, that's the 677, trying to hold off Todd Shaw in the 82. I like how he has his name right there on the top, and this is what he sees as he races in 5th.
Yeah, it is all Todd right there. He's just trying to see what he can get. Looks like the middle groove. You know what? This race doesn't look like a multi-groove style track. He goes way high up into the cushion, loses a lot of momentum there coming off the turn. So he's definitely going to make up a lot of ground there on field. Everybody's kind of single file. For the moment, what it looks like to me here, Doug, looks like a single groove style track.
And the bottom will come about on this track. This is one, again, I actually watched some races on here from some other places too. So usually this is the preferred line early in the night. And that margin, by the way, from 4th to 5th is now up over half a second. So looks like the single file front 4 cars with Field Miller, that's 677, going to be the last qualifier.
Yeah, it is, and you talk about, the tracks doesn't carry over. Right now, everybody's kind of single file there in the freight train. Now going down load is the man in front of him, Steve Shaw Jr. He's trying to test the waters down there. Zach Chapman still out front leading this one, though. He's not got a huge lead, but he's got a good, comfortable lead as the laps wind down here in heat race number 1.
Chapman gets the win. Kyle Parker ends up 2nd. Stephen Shaw Jr. in 3rd. Field Miller does get the final qualifying spot. Todd Shaw, Cecil Kirkpatrick, and the others will head to to the consolation race, which we will be having a little bit later on. Heat race number 2 out on the track now. McConey Setup Shop bringing this one to us. Yep, they might be your pictures in victory lane, but they're setups. That's what they're hoping to do. They are a place that will help you get your car set up. They want to work with you, get feedback from you on what you need. Is the car loose on entry? They will help you out, so make sure to look them up. We will have a nice video from the folks at McConey Setup Shop a little bit later on in between the consolation race and the feature. Brett Raby, our New Zealander, on the front row. PJ is his partner right there. Rob Shaw, Steven Spies in row number 2. William Watson and Philip Gom in row number 3. Gom had a good race last week, ended up in 3rd. Stephen Shaw Jr. and another new driver, Chad Witt, are in the last row. So 8 on the track, 8 laps the distance. Top 4 getting qualified, Joe.
It is. Like I said, newcomer there, Chad Witt, sitting in the 8th place spot. See if he can get up to the 4th. Got old Brett Ryby right there outside. Like you said, top man with PJ behind him. We'll see what these guys can do as Pace Truck pulls them around.
And PJ is a new driver as well. I would have remembered that one for sure. So Pace Truck will head off. Interesting racetrack because you actually pit off the track in turn 1 and pit back on in turn 2. So it's a little bit unique in that aspect. Love these 3/8 mile tracks. And what did you say about the not carrying over? Explain that to the folks that are listening to us, Joe.
Well, as far as like the tracks, it's just instead of like in real life where they're out there where they can really drag the track and whatnot and kind of clear it off here, the more it gets rutted up, or basically the cushion gets thrown up to the top side there, or builds up. Basically, it doesn't smooth out as the night goes over unless they reset it. So we'll just have to see, and that can affect the car setup and handling as these guys are on open setups. So they're going to have to adjust for that. Look at this wild battle, though. That's the 4th place. Got Steven Spies right there along Rob Shaw. And the 4th place spot, Philip Gome. He wants a little piece of it. He's down low.
Lost a little momentum there. Had a little contact with him there. Out in front, it's PJ and Raby side by side. Raby on the bottom, PJ up high. Like you said, Shaw and Spies are in the show. Gom is back there in 5th, and he is about 4/10 behind 4th place, so he's got to pick it up.
Yes, he is. Steven right there hanging on to the 3rd place spot. Battle out front. PJ's trying to see what he can do. Looks like the low line is coming in up top on the cushion. This is more of a multi-groove style race right now as Brett's trying I believe he's trying the low line, and it looks like PJ's trying the high line.
And PJ might have the run that time out of the corner. And what happens? This reminds me of a 3/8 mile track that we have here in central New York. What can happen is that cushion can get so far to the outside, it becomes just too long of a way around the racetrack, and the short way on the bottom becomes the way. So I have a feeling that we're already starting to see that. Is this battle up front? This is a really good one here, Joe.
Yeah, it is. They're going side by side, duking it out right now. You got Brett down low, PJ up high right there. He's running the top side on that cushion. You still got Stevens back there looking, but not giving an inch between the top 2 guys. As looks like now, you talked about the low line coming in. Old Brett's been able to find it down there, and that car's working pretty good.
And 4th place, Rob Shaw dipped his tires down in that the last time through the corner, and it looks like Raby has taken the lead. And as I say that, no, it's PJ again leading as they cross the line, 1 to go.
thought it was going to be there. Like you said, wanting to go here, and these guys, man, are definitely digging in the dirt, trying to get everything that they possibly can. As Brett now takes it to the outside, and he takes the lead away out of the turn here. White flag one more time.
Yep, so that low line is working. You can see now that even Steven Spies is going down there a little bit. Shaw's gone back to the top side. These are your 4 qualifiers that are running 1, 2, 3, and 4. This right here is the last corner.
Out of turn 4, and then Brett's going to be able to take it. PJ's going to come in second, Steven's third, and Rob Shaw's going to hang on to fourth. That was a good heat race right there. Showed us some different lanes that these guys were able to utilize.
And that's what we were wondering, when we were sitting there watching those first few laps of that first heat. Is that inside going to come in? Sure looks like it is. Qualifying heat race number 3 brought to us by Howard Hanna Real Estate. They are the #1 family-owned and operated independent broker in the country. So no matter where you are in this beautiful land of ours, make sure to get a hold of Scott Hurwitz. That's Hurwitz with 2 T's at the end, shurwitz@ymail.com. He'll find you the best house in the right price range for you. Shane Ramtham. He comes into tonight's second in the points. He'll start on the pole. Nicholas Vickery is right there with him. Troy P. Stewart and Jack Hitt in row 2. G.J. Boydell and Ron Snyder in row number 3. And at the back of the pack, Joe Backus and Roger Craig. And the nice thing about this, Joe, is with 3 8-lap heats, nobody goes home without running the feature tonight.
And that's good. I mean, I like that. So, you definitely can get out here and maybe try to do a little, but I always say a test session, so to speak. What's up, 13? Mm-hmm. How you doing out there? You said you wanted to be out there tonight, but missed it by one spot, finished 11th to beat. I hate that, man. That's all right. Yeah, bottom side could come in later on like you're talking about, but here we go. We're getting set to go with this one here, and I don't know, it's been some exciting racing. We definitely got some good heavy hitters. Shane Ramtham up front there, Nicholas Vickery. We know those guys can get it done on the dirt.
And you're seeing different things than I am. Craig Deacon just texted something here on the actual iRacing side. I think he's a Raby fan. He said, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. So green flag is out as we race. Ramtham and Vickery racing for the lead. It looks like it's going to be Ramtham on the bottom as they head to the first corner.
Absolutely, right there. I'll tell you what, Nicholas looking good. Troy right there on the third place, but out front, still Shane hanging on to it. Well, look at them guys, man, get up there on that top of the cushion there with Nicholas throwing the dirt around.
Whoa, look at that lane change with the leader right in front of Nicholas Vickery. I missed the purple he had on the car last week, and a different look for him with the black and white tonight. And one car having problems on the bottom. That's Troy P. Stewart. He's back to 4th.
And riding here with Jack Hitt, though, see what he's got going on. He's sitting in 3rd place spot. Well, Shane is definitely wheeling that machine around. Looks like that thing is just not doing what he wants to do, but look at them up there on the top side on the cushion. These guys are definitely some high side guys.
Troy P. Stewart got the wall, so a lot of the guys that are way back from these top 4 have now fallen back even more. Ramtham and Vickery, they're 1 and 2. Hitt and Boydell now. Boydell is in the final qualifying spot as you see some banging going on there in the corners. Vickery had a little contact with the wall. Couldn't tell if he got the back of Ramtham's car or not, as we are working lap number 5 here.
And look who man's up there battling for 4th. Oh, Roger Craig. He is up there seeing what he can get done in the Path Blue Ribbon machine. Somebody don't crinkle the can there, but he's trying to make it to the feature here the good old way. He's battling with somebody there, G.J. Boydell, side by side. We haven't got to talk about Roger in a while, though. We'll see if he can go. He's up the 4th so far. I'm going to tell you what, don't say too much, but I think he's done found something tonight.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why, he was the president, and for a while there, it seemed like whenever Joe or I would mention his name, he'd immediately drive into the wall or something. But remember, he started last, so this is impressive here, Joe.
Well, hard charging it through the front there. Good run for him there. So practice makes perfect there, folks, and I'm going to tell you, but he's got Joe Backus right now. Definitely don't want to do anything, but he's up to 4th. Good battle going on. Let's see what Shane's up to. He's got a pretty good lead, so we'll go back to the 4th place battle here because Joe's going to try it with 1 lap to go out of the last turns.
Yeah, this is it. They're coming down the line. It's going to be Shane Ramtham with the win. Nicholas Vickery gets 2nd. Jack Hitt in 3rd. Will Roger get in? Yes, he will. Roger Craig to 747. Last qualifying spot. Good job, Roger.
You gotta give him credit. I gotta give him credit on that one as we go to the B main. But I tell you what, right there, I know he done spilled his Pabst Blue Ribbon if he had one on him, because that right there was an awesome run for him.
That really was. And we don't see a lot of that in the street stocks anyway. So guys go at 8th to 4th. This is the B Main brought to us by Velocity Race Design. Want a fresh new look for your favorite dirt car? Look no further than Velocity Race Design. Whether it's that hot new design for your real car or retro throwback, you name it. Make sure to look them up on Facebook and order your custom paint design today. Todd Shaw, Philip Gom, they are going to be in the front row. Joe Backus and new driver Cecil Kirkpatrick will be in the second row. Steve Shaw Jr., GJ Boydell in row 3. Mike Schultz, William Watson in row number 4. Troy P. Stewart did some damage to that car in his qualifying heat with Jeffrey Barker in row 5. Chad Witt and Ron Snyder round out our starters here. The nice thing, like Joe and I have been saying, everybody's getting in, so that's the best news out of this whole thing.
Well, it's going to be a good one here as these guys, man, are gridding up, like you said. Consolation time here. Boy, I tell you. Now, here's where these guys here, I would feel if everybody's going to make it in, that, and they will, because 12 drivers on the field.
They will, yep.
But this is kind of where, I don't want to say it's a disadvantage, but it really will be a kind of an advantage because they're going to be able to say, okay, what do I got to fine tune here to be able to come through the field, because they're going to have to come through the field. They're not going to be up front, starting the feature. But what do I have to do to come through the field here and see how my car's going to react? Because so far we have not seen. Well, Roger did come from the back, but
yeah, he's the only one.
We've not seen anybody come from, let's say, 12th on back or 15th, 18th on back to the field all night, because it seems like this place has been really hard to pass at as we're getting set to go green.
I have seen the second groove come in, so like you said, these drivers out here will learn a lot. The goal is obvious. The first goal is to try to get a few spots, start a little bit further up in the feature lineup. But if you can learn something along the way, maybe that should be goal number 1, as the green flag is out. And we are racing here in the consolation race here at Cedar Lake Speedway.
Yeah, and right now these guys, man, are digging it out. Philip Gom up front. It has been a good side-by-side battle with all these guys. You can see some door-to-door action there between him and Todd Shaw. And you saw Cedric. Is it Cedric or Cecil? My bad. I kind of looked at it a little wrong there. Cecil is sitting there in third place. He got a little bumper action. Look at this. That's the one thing I love about the street stocks. These guys can get up there and just lean on each other's fenders.
And Gob lost a few positions there. Now he's back on the bottom. He fell back to 5th. Now he's up trying to race for 3rd as we look out. GJ Boydell. Boy, those things are pretty busy in front of him.
I'll tell you what, and he's also got a dirty shield right there. And he is around. Oh, we were just watching him. And then he goes around. Luckily not going to be out. But boy, look at this battle. And again, that right there is Joe Backus. Joe Backus, and we got a car upside down. That's the 54 of Steve Shaw. And I always say, hashtag dead turtle on the track.
Yeah, and the Orioles got all crunched up that time.
I'll tell you what, Mike Schultz, though. You remember Mike Schultz in the heat. He got a UL on his front line there.
Yep.
But he is showing what his car will do. And boy, look at Philip going up there, late a fender to him. Says, man, hey, I'm going to show you what it is, but did not upset the groove of Mike Shaw with that Mike right there. Look at these guys. Those two guys are trading some paint up there up front. This is a good race.
And this is the race for 2nd that we're watching right here. And Schultz started 7th, by the way. So he's made his way up, but Gob being very, very aggressive with him right now. The leader, you just saw him go out of your screen. That's Todd Shaw. He is almost 2 seconds up on the field as we work lap number 7 of this 10-lap consolation.
Yeah, Todd Shaw's trying to walk away. Good battle here for 2nd. That's Mike Schultz there and Philip Gom. Now, the one thing, like I've always said about the street stocks, is you can get up there and lay fenders to each other there and put the bumper to them. And usually it does not hurt these cars. They're so heavy. They're so tight on the track. They're not very, very loose that you could get away with what you're doing up there. Obviously, you're still going to have to hold on to the car, but it just makes for some exciting racing because these cars are just full-bodied style stock cars out here on the dirt. And it's interesting. Now it looks like Philip Gom's dropped off the pace just a little bit. Joe Backus hanging on to 4th right there. You got William Watson right there hanging on in the 5th place, and Ron Snyder. So everybody's kind of looks like settled down just a little bit.
While we're watching this, Todd Shaw just bounced off the wall. That cost him about a half a second off of his lead. I'm noticing Gom's car. That's the yellow and red one you're seeing right there. He looks like he's got a little push coming off the corners now. Car does not seem to rotate. Look at his position of his car versus the car of Backus, who's right behind him.
He's having to throw it in very hard to the turn. If he's running a push right there, it's a checker flag flies. Todd Shaw's going to win. But you're right. You notice how hard he is throwing it in because you can see that back end kick out when he goes into the turn, and then it kind of settles going in, and the car just pushes straight up the track. That tells you right there what we were talking about, or what you was talking about is being, kind of tight in there. He has to like overdrive the turn. But folks, I tell you what, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back and get some words from our sponsors here, and we'll be right back after this.
At McConey Setup Shop, we offer custom-built setups for any asphalt oval car. Prices starting at just $5. Weekly setups available for all Legends, late models, modifieds, and NASCAR trucks, Xfinity, and Cup cars. Do you need one-on-one driver coaching? We've got you covered. Visit www.McConeySetupShop.com and find yourself in Victory Lane. McConey Setup Shop, handling all your setup needs so you don't have to.
We're back here, of course. This is Wicked Wednesday with the GForce Racing Leagues, just one of 20 different leagues. Joe and I were, Doug Elkins here with Joe White down in North Carolina. We love that Icon Sim Sports intermission commercial there, and you saw what they're doing. I mean, these rigs, okay? And we were wondering if they could make them for us, though, Joe, right? I mean, you're what, 6'5", something like that?
Yeah. 6'4", and I'm a big guy. I'll go in a minute. I've been a big guy all my life, and in order for me to get in a rig like that, they're going to have to, I joked around here with Doug. I said, look, they're going to have to make it fat man approved. So we're going to have to do it that way. I ain't ashamed to say it. So, but they said they do them by weight, by height, and just your pedal feel and everything. So that is cool because they're custom made to your liking, and not many. I mean, there's a lot of rigs out there that can be, flexible and so forth, but not many of them will make them custom like that.
Yeah, hopefully they have a big and tall section there at Icon Sim Sports Intermission, because Joe gets the tall one, I get the big one. I was saying I'm going to need a little extra space between that steering wheel and the seat, to fit my gut in there.
Yeah.
So make sure to look them up, iconsimsports.com. Tell them you heard it from Joe and I here, and they'll give you a super great price.
And just to flip that over, obviously you get your sim rig from Icon, you go get your wheel and pedals for whoever manufacturer you want to get that from, because there's a multitude of those out there, and sky's the limit on what you want to spend. But then run over there to McConey Setup Shop, get your setup set up, and get out here on iRacing and just go to town. If you like dirt, you like oval, you like a road, they got a little bit of something there at the McConey Setup Shop for you. It definitely will get you going and get you going fast.
Yeah, and then of course the NSM Wraps it was one of the companies that works with us here, and of course the other one you'll be seeing later on, Velocity Race Designs. They'll get your car looking all good, so you'll be all set just right there. Make sure to check for the NSM Photos Driver of the Week. You can find that right on our webpage, GForceRL.com. Lots of great information. Then NSM Photos, they do all kinds of cool things, including hero cards and stuff like that. So they also do some things in 1080p. Make sure to look them up and get yourself all set. And make sure also to subscribe to catch all the GForce Racing League action. Monday Night Madness is at 9 o'clock. Of course, the Renegades 360s, Wicked Wednesday, part of the Supreme Sim Racing Street Stock A division, and of course later will be followed by the Ashweekett Speedway Race Source 360s. Thursday night is the Epsilon Sprint Wraps Big Block Modifieds A divisions, and then they finish off the week with Pro Late Models. Spartan Racing brings that on Friday night's GForce. So subscribe to GForce TV Esports, and you will not miss a thing.
I'll tell you what, it's GForceRL.com. Check them out on that website. And man, I tell you what, all that stuff you just mentioned, you'll definitely get an insight on everything. What's up, LW? How you doing out there, Aiden? We're live tonight here on the GForce Esports on YouTube and OSRnetwork on YouTube, because we're on iRacing Live tonight here too. So that's kind of cool. And obviously it's going to bring the exposure here to the GForce Racing League. Love it. Want to get the name out there to all the folks, and hit those likes, hit those shares, and up for the league. Appreciate it. Aiden, why ain't you out here, man? I ain't seen you out here in a while. You're in the Elite Series, I believe, by the fact. Well, I'll tell you what, feature time here.
It will be the feature coming up right now for the GForce Racing League, as the best of the street stock drivers that we have in our midst are going to be out here. 30 laps is what this is going to be tonight. Caution laps will not count. Malcolm Mills will bring us our replays. They are full-serving mill writing contractor based in Oakland, Ontario, Canada. mmmillwriting.com. We'll, of course, be watching the list to see who moves up. They will be our 2Ws Plumbing Hard Charger. 2WSPlumbingLLC.com. They're out in Western New York. Whether you have a big job or an emergency deal, make sure to look them up. And of course, they're all going to be trying to get to Epsilon Sprint Wraps Victory Lane. They are doing great looking stuff. Make sure to check them out. Realistic designs. I like this phrase. You look like you drove right off your local dirt track, right onto the iRacing platform. So we'll talk more about those. Here's the lineup. Zach Chapman, the point leader, and Brett Raby, the Aussie, are in the front row. Shane Ramthan and Kyle Parker in row number 2. PJ and Nicholas Vickery in row 3. Stephen Shaw Jr., Stephen Spees in row 4. Jack Hitt and Field Miller, row 5. Rob Shaw and Roger Craig in row number 6. Good starting spot for Roger tonight. Todd Shaw, Mike Schultz, row 7. Philip Gom, who was top 3 last week. Joe Backus there in row 8. William Watson, Rod Snyder in row number 9. Cecil Kirkpatrick, Troy P. Stewart, row 10. Jeffrey Barker, Chad Witt, row 11. And G.J. Boydell, who had a wreck in the Consi, and Steve Shaw Sr. round out our field. 24 cars qualified. 24 will start. I don't know, Joe. It's a lot's been changing with this racetrack. I think any groove could be the one to get to your victory lane tonight.
I think it will. I think any groove, like you said, will work. The only thing I'm kind of concerned with is, like I said, we've not seen anybody come further back than 8th spot or so forth and so on. We've not seen anybody come from, let's say, a 15th or 20th. I think that's where it's obviously anything can happen as the green flag flies here, wrecks or anything that can bring guys to the front, but pure speed to come to the front, I think it's going to be very difficult because, one, multi-groove, two, because it's a hard place to pass here. But nonetheless, out front, Zach Chapman, he's got company with 3 wide. We got a car already around. And
that was Raby, I believe.
How they saved that? Well, did they save it? No, they didn't. Thought they did. G.J. Boydell was involved. Yellow flag is out. Back on our ANJ Custom Creations. There's Malcolm Mills replay, excuse me. Used there, but I know G.J. Boydell didn't start it, but unfortunately he was involved in it. This is what I'm talking about. Back there in the back, you're marking traffic. Next thing you know, boom, chaos happens in front of you. Nowhere to go. You can see it right there. I mean, he got sideways.
Shaw got in there. Wow. William Watson is involved.
Joe Backus, Cole, Kirkpatrick. Todd Shaw, like you said, was involved in it. Wow.
And Raby got sideways there at one point and lost a lot of positions because he is all the way back now. Let me double check this. He's back at 12th. Yeah. Up 13th, yeah. So
he could come to the front. Mike Schultz was another one who was hard charging to the front. Obviously, these guys are going to need some green flag runs to do it. But if they go single file here, I think, one, I've always said it benefits the leader. But two, a single file start could benefit guys in the back, 10th on back, that is, being able to pick them off one by one. So I think that might help.
And when I raced, that was always the the big thing I looked for, because I was always nervous on starts and restarts for obvious reasons. So I kind of liked it when they got spaced out a little bit, because then you could just focus on the car in front of you and decide what to do instead of having to worry about being 3 wide. You know, they're 3 wide behind you. So, and it is a single file restart. Current point leader Zach Chapman out in front. Shane Ramtham in second. PJ first run with us. He's in third.
Absolutely. Well, right now it's getting set to go back green, and we are green here. Mike Schultz hanging on to it. We'll see what he can get done up front here as Shane Rantham's right there along with Zach Chapman. Look at him already making contact. We've seen contact all night long. Some just good, man, slamming doors with each other, kind of racing, and that has brought about the 2 grooves that we've seen down low and up top. Right now it's still a battle. Steve Shaw Jr.'s down low. Excuse me, up high right there, and that's PJ happening down low.
Yeah, he's in the red car down on the inside. As a friend of mine who's no longer with us used to say, Gary Montgomery always said if they had door handles, they'd be clicking them right now, and they were doing that earlier. But out front, Chapman trying to make this one a snoozer as he has led every lap so far. Ramtham is still in second. Guy to watch, I think, is Stephen Shaw Jr., as he's got some things working on the outside, as he's still trying to get away from PJ as they race for third.
Yeah, PJ doesn't want to give up that low line, doesn't want to give up that spot there. He's sitting in fourth, but he's battling it out there with Steve Shaw. Here comes Kyle Parker. Oh, Kyle up to the top side there, going to run the cushion. I think that high lane might be a good slingshot off the turns. Do you still see PJ happening? Yellow flag is out. Jack hit. See how hard of a hit he took here on the replay of Malcolm Mills. Back here in the back, he's in that orange and black 17 machine. Down low, look like he's already got a little front end damage. Lost a fender somewhere. He's down low there running the low line. He was pretty good up to the front there, around about 10th place spot when he was running.
Started 9th.
Yeah, I don't know if he got contact with somebody. Oh, just a little bit of bumper tag there with Roger. He tried to get him a beer, and that didn't happen.
It was hard to tell if they actually touched or not.
Very slightly. I mean, it was just very, very, very slightly if it was.
And it's not like Roger came down on him or anything either. That was just a racing deal from what it looked like.
2 guys trying to occupy the same space.
That happens so much in dirt racing, unlike asphalt where there's a preferred groove and it's the preferred groove and it's the preferred groove. It's not like that in dirt. So different lines that just come together.
You know what you bring that up to, and I look when I talk about dirt, and I do a lot of the asphalt racing. A lot of guys may say, "Oh, he dive bombed me in the turn." Well, yeah, a lot of time in asphalt that is, because you can hold your line, I think, a lot better than you can in dirt. I'm not taking anything away from any dirt drivers out there, and a lot of them will probably be like, "What are you talking about, Joe? I can hold my line fine." I want to say this. I mean, it's a lot harder to hold your line in dirt than it is on an asphalt. Because you're always sliding all the time.
Yeah, that's the one reality of dirt racing. Oh, what a good start for Chapman that time. And down low, you can see Stephen Shaw Jr. try and ramp them for second. And coming up now is Kyle Parker. He's in that black and white 013.
Yeah, we're riding here with Steve Shaw. Let's go back to Kyle and see if anybody can get up high. But right there, we got trouble in the back. Got a lot of trouble in the back. Wow. We got a parking lot back here, yeah.
Oh, and hit again. He's having a tough race.
Actually started out with Steven Spees, who was actually kind of up front. He was in here in this middle of the mess.
He's in the 55.
Michael Mills replay here. Oh, just got a little bumped in the back, maybe. And then Roger nowhere to go. Wow, Roger might have got out of there by the skin of his teeth. Unfortunately, Mike Schultz did not. Schultz went around. Ouch, but I tell you what, Roger missing a bullet right there. Did crinkle the can just a little bit in the front, but not too bad. Zach Chapman, though, still out front leading it, but hey, they made a parking lot here on dirt. And just go back real quick to what we was talking about. Yeah, I don't want to say anything bad about, these guys take skill to drive these things on dirt, but
yes.
There is a huge difference between asphalt. You don't see them sliding up the different grooves and stuff. Dirt, physics, folks. I mean, I don't care how good a driver is. I don't care for Kyle Larson. These things are going to slide, and they are going to be out of control. You can mean for it to stay low all day long, but physics sometimes just takes the place and can throw that thing up the track.
Well, you said you were looking at some of the EOLs, And the thing is, sometimes you just go in a tick harder. You try to push just a little more than you did the lap before. Sometimes that's all it takes to look like you drove in the back of somebody, when in reality you just lost control of the car for a second or two.
And you can overdrive in a turn. We'll see in some time,
Easily.
but it definitely happens. Right now they went single file. Zach Chapman's out front, second place. Shane Rantham's going to see if he can't ramp it up right here and try to run down Zach, because it's been the Zach show all night long so far. You see old Steve Shaw still hanging at the top side. And right now we're still green. Kyle Parker's trying to get up to the mix right there. He's got his hands full with PJ.
Yeah, that's the battle right there for fourth. PJ's been sticking to that bottom. Kyle Parker was trying the outside, fell back a little bit that time. Chapman, our leader, is kind of running an interesting line. He's kind of running the middle. Oh, I thought Shaw might have had a shot at him there. Contact out of turn 4.
Man, he was going to see if he can just knock him out of the way. Right now, Zach's went down low. Up top, Steve Shaw Jr. Look at this. Guys back there are throwing haymakers left and right. You got Shane, Kyle, Fred. I say Fred Field. My bad. Boy, I got ahead of myself on that one there. Sorry about that, Miller. Sometimes I read words and they read backwards. 3 wide battle, though, going into the turn.
That's how Shaw bounced off the wall there as he was running in
and
second.
He's around. Todd Shaw's around. Oh, you were just talking about Todd Shaw. And unfortunately...
Oh, he crinkled that thing
caution out. Yeah, let's go back and watch Shaw right there. And you can just see the car. Oh, it looks like car right there just bounced off the wall down into him. I don't know if that's maybe upset his car a little bit, but he's still running pretty clean right now. Right there in the low line, he went up to a little high. You can see the car just drift. And yep,
he looks
boom,
a little loose,
just
though.
got tagged. Yep. And what I think right there too, I don't want to take anything away from the car behind him. From there, he just got destroyed. But I don't want to take anything away from the car behind him, because obviously the gentleman behind him is not going to just go up and run him over.
That.
What that was right there, folks, is you saw Todd Shaw go in, and the car looked like it went up the track and got very tight. When a car gets tight, you lose all kind of momentum. As opposed to being loose. When you're tight, it's going to lose all momentum. It looked like what happened is the end of that, coming out of the turn, when it got tight, it just almost stops the car and stops all momentum of that car. And unfortunately, if you're right there behind them, hey, you got nowhere to go. Everything happens so quick. It happens in the oval world a lot when guys are following behind somebody, and we call this following them into the wall. If a guy in front of you taps the wall, sometimes if you're so close to him, you're gonna run into the wall with him too, because you get tunnel vision.
Just like the fighter pilots, that's one of the things they talk about. I'm looking at the back of Zach Chapman's car. Boy, they've been beating and banging on that thing, and off the wall he goes, and down to the inside goes Stephen Shaw Jr.
I'll tell you what, right there was an uppercut in a 3,000-pound car out there. These guys are putting on a show. Zach Chapman still right up the top side, leading it. Steve Shaw Jr. in the back there with Kyle Parker, Field Miller into the mix. Look at this. And this is about as much beating and banging as we've seen in the stock car. And again, folks, if you just don't like hard charging style racing, I don't know what else to put on here.
Go somewhere else.
That's it, man. Rob Shaw, caution out. Steven Spees around. Oh, let's go on our Malcolm Mills replay
and you saw
here.
Philip Gomm at the bottom. His front end is destroyed on that 32. Oh, no.
But the more you lean on each other, I just think right here, this is a big combination at this track. Is these cars are so tight, like you were saying. They're having to throw them in the turn so hard. They're losing so much momentum coming out, and the guy behind them just nowhere to go. Right there, just kind of came down. Yeah. Ooh, Mike Schultz, man, got around it pretty good though. Oh boy, this is a good one so far here.
We're
Dirt's like
scheduled
ice.
Aiden says
Dirt's
for
like
30.
ice.
So this might be a little longer than 30, depending on when they go back to green, because it will be green, white, checker, correct, Joe?
In a nutshell, what are we on? Lap 3? It's going to be equivalent.
Yeah, because it's 29 right now. So,
obviously, they don't count it. We could still get another caution before the end of this one, because on dirt, technically green, white, checkered, folks, in the oval side of thing would be 3 laps. Okay, you get the green, you go around, you get the white, and then boom, there you go. On dirt, you actually could get a white in the race. So you could get green and a white at the same time and only have 1 lap to go around. So that's the biggest difference between dirt and oval.
Yeah, so if they complete this lap and then they go around again and take the white,
oh, it's done. They can kill. The yellow won't matter. And once you get to the white flag, it don't matter. They kill each other, like I say out there. And from that point, you can see Zach Chapman's loving these green flag starts here for him because he's able to get out there and he wants to stay out there. Coming around here, going to be able to get to that white flag, though. We'll have to see.
White flag will come this time out of the corner. Kyle Parker, the 013, has had a good run here in the end. If anybody's got anything for him, and they already took the white, so this is the last lap.
It is the last lap, last time around. They'll go down firing down the back stretch. We see him right there. GJ Boydell, unfortunately, out of the mix. Watching the battle with PJ here. That's around about the fourth place spot. Out of the fourth turn here comes Zach Chapman's going to win it.
QW's Plumbing Hard Charger Award is going to go to Jeffrey Barker, 21st to 12th. For Jeffrey Barker, he moves up 9 spots. Chapman leads every lap to get the win. Kyle Parker 4th to 2nd. And how about Field Miller, 10th to 3rd? Strong finish for him.
Absolutely. Very, very good, strong finish, like you said, with these guys here tonight. So we'll see if we can't get a few of them up here and get a word with them. But, man, what a heated battle it was here for the street stocks as we're going to get set for our Elite Series here. Folks, don't go anywhere. We could get the Elite Series a little bit earlier. Normally it's at the top of the hour. Actually, we got done a little earlier than what we thought we would. We got to go, but nonetheless, folks, don't go anywhere afterwards because we still got the Elite Series 360.
The best sprint car drivers in the GForce Racing League. You can't just race this. You've got to work your way up into it. It takes a lot of time to do so, so make sure you stick around. And we wondered if the shorter track might make for a quicker race. Sometimes it can make for more yellows, and sometimes it can make for a quicker race. This time, it ended up making for a much quicker race. We're just waiting on one driver to get there.
Field Miller. We'll bring him up. Let's get a word with him.
All right. Field Miller joins us up here in the booth. He started the race in 10th, ended up in 3rd place. Field, how was the race for you, sir?
It was fun. It was fun. That high side is fast. These cars are wide, a lot of blocking going on, and you have to be smart about it.
So how'd you make your move up? Because it looked like the top was a little bit better, but I saw a lot of people making ground up on the bottom.
Whenever I would have a restart on the high side, I would definitely stick to the high side and wait for people to get impatient and get the run on the outside there. But when I was stuck on the bottom, I was just trying to be consistent, and some of those other guys were really overdriving. That's why you were seeing them get into each other and that kind of thing. And that was the only way for the bottom to really work.
How did the track change over the course from those first few heat races to later on?
It slicked off big time. We knew it would be. It's been doing that all season with these cars. But if you have the right gearing, you can power through it.
Of course, we are in Epsilon Sprint Wraps Victory Lane. Make sure to get a hold of them and get your car looking as good as, maybe even a little bit better than some of the ones you're seeing out here tonight. So tell me about this track, because this is one of the newer ones, obviously. How are we coming about learning this particular track, Cedar Lake?
Really, my own experiences in the league here. I've ran the big blocks; those were pretty fun. And these cars, we may have ran something else, but it's one of the better tracks. It reminds me a lot of Lernerville, but it has a wall, so you don't have to worry about going over the hill there. So it kind of keeps you in. But turn 3 is probably the trickiest part. 1 and 2 is super fun once it goes to the high side there, and I like the high side on any track, so it's definitely one of my favorites.
And I was here taking some hot laps last night, kind of getting myself familiar with it. Looks like it's a lot of right foot also, because it's that in between 3/8. It's not quite a short track, but it's not a big track either.
You have to have throttle control, especially when it slicks off here. Even though we have some wide tires on these things, throttle control is huge and not over rotating. And that's what a lot of the guys are getting in trouble with.
Yes.
Over rotating for sure.
Yeah. And then if somebody taps you a little bit from behind when you're over rotating, there you go. Just like that. You're around. Who do you want to say thank you to, Field?
All the guys at Spartan Racing. Obviously, Kyle was up in front of me here, and we had Nicholas behind us, and all the other guys that are in the other leagues here. We've been doing a good job of putting these setups together and making each other faster. Obviously, the wife for letting me. I'm leading the points in the big block, so you'll see me tomorrow.
Very nice. Good job, man.
Thanks, sir. Y'all have a good one.
You too. Field Miller picks up 7 spots. I like that.
Kyle, yeah, Kyle, second place man. Field doing good here, but Kyle here, second place guy.
Kyle Parker joins us here in Epsilon Sprint Wraps Victory Lane. I was talking to Joe there at the end of the race. I thought you were maybe about the only one who might have had a shot at Zach. What might have gone differently to maybe talk to you after a win, perhaps?
If I wasn't sleeping on that restart. But
so that's what it was. He didn't necessarily get a good jump. You were just a little late, huh?
Yeah. No, I thought he was going to go a little bit later than earlier, honestly. So yeah, I was sleeping a little bit, but
that's got to be a finer point of the game that I would think. Yeah, that would just take a while to get down, right, Kyle?
Yeah, definitely the restart. I mean, being the leader, the restarts are the easiest. I mean, because it's on you. You know, no one else knows when you're going to go. So being second on the outside, double file is. I mean, actually, single file is all right because you can see, when he gets on the gas, so you can react a lot faster.
Gotcha.
But if you don't have, I do a single monitor, so I have to look. I press a little button, try to look to the left, try to time it, and then sometimes I don't do that, and I just try timing it. It's definitely hard for being the outside, starting second on the restart.
And I would think in a single file, somebody would say, well, why don't you just get on his bumper? But as soon as you were to tag his bumper, there you just lost a half a second right there, probably, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So single monitor. So what do you have, something on the keyboard that you can look right or left on? Is that how you have it set up?
On my steering wheel, I got a little mapped out button. I can look to the left, to the right.
You can't do that when you're actually racing, can you?
Yeah, you can. You can press that, and you can look to your right or to your left. I don't ever do it. I only do it on the restart sometimes every once in a while. But I don't know. I'll have to invest into a triple monitors or a ultra wide monitor from now on, so I don't get caught sleeping.
Yeah, because I can see if you did that right on the corner entrance, that could really mess you up, right?
Oh yeah, especially if you like finger slipped or something, your hand slipped. The next thing you know, you're looking left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so hopefully Kyle will get that 2 more monitors hooked up here soon. Who do you want to say thanks to for the fine second place?
Oh, I got to thank Spartan Racing as always. Those guys, we put a lot of laps in throughout the week, and finally, after the struggle with the open setups, it's starting to come together. So hopefully we can continue the success into next week and throughout the rest of the season. And then I got to obviously.
Oh no, go ahead.
Sorry. You're all right.
No, you go ahead. You go. You're doing your sponsors. Go ahead.
I got to thank my wife for letting me do this every week, and then I got to thank Kingsley Heating and Cooling, and then Apollo Race Paints for some of the paint designs he does.
Ah, so you know AJ?
Yes, sir. That's my brother-in-law.
Well, there you go. Well, so tell him I said hi, okay?
Yes, sir. I will.
All right. Good job, Kyle.
Thank you.
Zach Chapman, our winner, will be coming up next. He came into tonight with a 25-point lead over Shane Ramthan. Ramthan ended up in 6th place, so he extends his lead. Our point leader and winner, Zachary Chapman, joins us here. Boy, that was a fun race for you. Led every lap. Can't do much better, can you?
Yeah, I mean, I did all right. I feel kind of bad. I threw the block there on my teammate with about 10 to go, and he ended up giving me a little bump, and when I bounced off the wall there, I kind of wrecked Junior and ruined his night. But, I mean, like you said, started up front, was just trying to hold on to it and win the race. So, I mean, can't blame me for throwing a block.
So that was that time we saw you go into the wall real hard there?
Yeah, I saw him pass our other teammate, Shane, on the high side, and I was like, man, it's time I go up there and try it. And when I did, I got a little loose in front of him, and just enough that he gave me a nudge, and then I hit the outside wall and bounced off of it and hit him. It was definitely my fault.
I'm surprised you didn't lose the lead there. You probably were too, right?
Yeah, definitely. I got lucky kind of that when I bounced off the wall, he was there. He kind of kept me where I needed to be.
Well, that worked out then. And I noticed you were running a line really a little bit different, almost like a half a lane down from where everybody else was.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not in the gas too much, it's just as fast as the other line. And I mean, it's hard to pass on the high side. So that's why I was trying to protect on the bottom until I saw Junior coming real fast.
How do you like this track? Because it's the newest one they got. How do you like it?
I love it. It's a good track. It's definitely nice. We were talking there in the waiting room, me and Kyle Parker were, and it's nice. It's one of the only tracks when it really slicks over, you still have a couple grooves to race. The bottom's fast and the top's fast.
Yeah, because I kind of wondered, because I'd never heard of this place before, but, and I've just practiced on it. But, yeah, it does seem like a lot of fun. I'm glad you confirmed that. Who do you want to say thank you to, Zach?
I'd like to say just thank my SSR teammates, thank my old man, thank my fiance, and, of course, my little brother's watching because I got a text from him saying congratulations.
Nice.
Andrew, that's right. Andrew Chapman, is that your brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just said out there, good job. So there you go.
Right on.
we going to see him out here at some point, maybe?
Hey, I'm glad you're saying that because I've been trying to talk that boy into joining the Street Stock Series. He runs official races all the time, and I told him the B Series is fixed setup.
Yeah.
And I mean, if he ever makes his way up to the A Series, he knows his big brother will help him out.
Yeah, and a lot of you guys who are listening, take his advice because we run that right before this. This starts at 7:00. So, all right, you convince him. I'll convince everybody listening, and hopefully we'll see him all there next week, right?
Yeah, you'll definitely see me next week. And Joe, I listened to the podcast this week. I loved the podcast this week, Joe. They need to have you on there more often.
I appreciate it, man. That's cool. A quick question. Thomas out here wanted me to throw this out, and hopefully it's not a bad question, but he says, ask Chapman about Phil's bad luck. I don't know what he's talking about.
Who's bad luck?
Phil's bad luck. That's what he said. Thomas asked Chapman about Phil's bad luck. So I don't know what he's referring to because I don't know, maybe something happened on the racetrack that we're not worried about, but hey, I don't know.
I imagine he's referring to, I think he's just been having some hard luck on the racetrack.
I got you. Okay, cool. Well, I tell you what, again, congratulations on that win there, Zach.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, man, there you go. Well, I tell you what, Doug, man, that was an awesome race and awesome years. But folks, don't go anywhere because we got Elite coming up, 360 wing sprints, and these guys are going to put on some bad, fast show. For myself, Doug, and everybody at GForce Racing, we'll be right back here in just a few. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the GForce Racing Leagues. It is Wicked Wednesday, round 2 here as the Wicked Speedway Race Source Elite Division. These are 360 sprints we're going to see here tonight at one of the more storied dirt tracks. The PA Posse lives at Williams Grove Speedway. We're at the big flat half mile here today. Ran a little bit late to the Gambler Motorsports pre-race show. We'll have to wait till the next time that we get together. Let's take a quick look at the standings as they are well into Vanderbilt qualifying right now. Kyle Moonen is the current points leader. He is 13 ahead of Ross Corinta. Stephen Goldner is third in the points. Aiden Young, Jeffrey Barker round out the top 5. Jack Clevenger, Lane Snook, Chris Sabeski, Jonathan Short, and Jason Randolph round out the top 10 there. Of course, these division standings brought to us by NSM Wraps. That's Wraps with a Z. Make sure to look them up for your next quality wrap. They've got 4 painters on staff so they can do the work and get it done quickly. So make sure to check them out. And, of course, make sure to go to our website as well, GForce RL. I'm Doug Elkins. Joe White is behind the scene, pressing the buttons and clicking the mouses to make sure that we're on the air. Joe, we just saw a race at a short track. Now we go to the big half mile at Williams Grove.
And we do, but the thing about it, too, it's kind of a trade-off here, too. We go from, I'm going to say, a slower car, bigger, heavier style car to basically a motor transmission and a seat. I mean, that's what I've always said these wing sprints are. Bad fast. So time-wise, I think it's going to be even, if not a little quicker, because just these cars are amazing. And then again, you know, you've got the Elite Series out here, the drivers. I don't want to say that we won't see a little bit of side-by-side, you know, rubbing, but you don't want to do it too much in these because it could be catastrophic.
Especially at this big track here. And what makes Williams Grove so unique is turn 1 and 2 is pretty much like every other track out there. And you can see the car on your screen right now as they'll be heading into 1 and 2. But 3 and 4, 3 kind of is gradual. 4 pinches. It is one of the trickier racetracks to get around. And the bridge there you see on the backstretch, that tells you that they're heading into turn number 3. Love this place.
Yeah, like you just said, very, very good style track here tonight. So getting set to go green here, and like you said, Gambler Motorsports, we definitely want to give them a good shout out there. It's an awesome title sponsor here as always, and we've got a lot of great sponsors throughout here at the GForce Racing League. Folks, we could sit here for an hour or so, man, talking about nothing but sponsors and whatnot, but go check out GForceRL.com. That will give you a list of all the sponsors, who they are, give you a good, awesome rundown on what they do. Also, too, check out, there's a full line of racing. And again, GForceRL.com has all that full line of racing, everything that you need to know. 20, like I said, 20 different leagues. A lot of them are broadcasted. We got some broadcast tomorrow night. Check them out on GForce Esports on YouTube, like we are tonight, and OSRnetwork on YouTube. Friday night, I'll be back here. Some super late model action, but I tell you what, right now we got to concentrate on the bad boys here tonight, the Elite Series, on these Wing 360 Sprint wing cars. I used to call them 360 Sprint cars, and I got corrected by Brett Wheeler. Brett said, they're not sprint cars, Joe. They're wing sprints. Oh, excuse me. All right, wing sprints.
Well, he's right. You know, of course, around here we just have wing sprints in New York, so we call them sprint cars, and then we call the other ones wingless sprint cars. So I guess it's where you are from in the country,
right. Absolutely,
as to how you refer to them. You know, so but this track is known for these cars as they race there a lot. And of course, the World of Outlaws. This is one of the few tracks they come to, and they have to worry about the locals because the locals could kick their butt. A&J Custom Creations Heat Race number 1 lined up. Of course, they do laser engraving and CNC machining on wood trophies and plaques. Joe has seen these. I have seen these. They are amazing. Make sure to look them up, get a hold of Andy Patton, and do something nice for whatever league you might be in away from all this. Maybe you're in a bowling league, a volleyball league, a golf league, who knows? And they'll make sure to get you something nice for the banquet. Lane Snook, Jonathan Short in the front row, Dakota Kuhn, Kyle Moon in the point leader. He was fastest timer, so he starts 4th. Preston Kramer, GJ Boydell in row 3. Robert Satterfield, Jeff Fitzpatrick in row number 9. Roger Craig did not take time in qualifying. Is he out there, Joe?
I don't see him. It doesn't look like he got out there in time. So just unfortunate there for him not to be able to. He'll just have to run the consi here. So you're right.
And that means that we have exactly 24 cars again, Joe. So everybody is going to get in, so that's good news. We got lucky tonight on that, both races at 24.
Run the lottery here tonight. Well, John Short, Lane Snook. Woo! That's a heavy hitting names out front. So we know Lane, young man right there, got a great future ahead of him. And he definitely knows how to wheel these things around here on iRacing. Definitely does a lot of real kart style racing, being very young as he is. So here we go, getting set to go green flag.
Pace truck will exit the speedway. They are over in 3 and 4 right now. Looks like we're going to get the green. And you can see on the inside with those tires and everything, wouldn't be surprised if we see someone down there at some point, because 3 and 4 is very unique. Slow pace here, and the green is out. Snook and Short, get into it.
Yeah, they're doing out front. You're already seeing some sliders happening right there.
Holy
wow. Dakota Kuhn made an awesome move. And never mind. Well, I was about to say he made an awesome move, and he did. But Lane Snook paid for that move up there because they got together just like that. John Short, the top 3 guys, just like that. In it, out of it, in the back. And the good news, like you said, everybody's probably going to make it in at the end of the day. We'll have to see what happens there. But that puts G.J. Boydell out front. Preston Kramer in second. He's got Robert Scatterfield right there trying to scatter the front end of that thing as he got up there a little bit. Oh, Preston. Oh, man. I'm going to tell you. Wow. Here's the thing,
it's
Doug.
Still happening.
Yeah, it's all over the place. The biggest thing I'm seeing right now, Doug, is the fact we saw it in with the street stocks. On that track now, obviously 2 different tracks, but we're seeing these cars slide way up the track. We talked about it right there in the street stocks. You can drive them in there, but physics will take these cars up the track, and that was probably a perfect example right there. What happened to Robert? He went in hard in that turn, and that thing just kept going straight to the top.
I thought somebody was going to hit the bridge for a minute there on that first crash. And we got to remember, 8 laps, top 4 get in. Cautions do not count here early. So that's, if you're wondering why we didn't stop, that's why. The guy who has ended up getting through all that, because you're looking at the top 3 right now as we look out the front of Preston Kramer's car, the guy who drove through it was Satterfield. So he is in the last qualifying spot, a good 3 seconds ahead of Jonathan Short.
Yeah, Scatterfield right there. Like you said, Satterfield, excuse me, I don't know why I call him Scatterfield. my apologies out there. Y'all just got to work with me on some of this. Sometimes my brain works in unique ways. So
mysterious ways, right?
Mysterious ways. Satterfield hanging on to the 4th place spot. Kyle Moonen right there in 3rd. Preston Kramer up in the 2nd. G.J. Boydell out front leading it right now as to just chaos. And wow, are you kidding? Kyle Moonen come up there and just shot Preston Kramer right into the wall. Again, same scenario with white flag out. Looks like G.J. Boydell's going to pull this one off. But it just, I'm already seeing these things are just, wow, wicked slide jobs.
This is a tough track.
It's some wicked slide jobs. Yeah, checker flag.
Boydell gets the win. Moon in 2nd. Kramer, and I just heard Kyle, I could hear the chat at my end. I heard him say, sorry, Preston. So,
man, I'm going to tell you, you're already seeing some wicked slide jobs out here tonight. These guys are putting some E1s on each other as we're getting set here for Heat Race 2. It's going to be, I think, a crazy one here in the Elite Series.
It is, and there you got your overhead view, too. You can see how 3 and 4, right by the Schultz Heating and Cooling logo, kind of inches in. A little bit, but it's not the same over there in 3 and 4.
Neither is Martinsville.
I had to sneeze there for a second. I had to do that. McConey Setup Shop brings us qualifying heat race number 2. We'll find a nice video here coming up in a little bit when we take our break between the consolation race and, of course, the feature. But basically what they're going to do, they're going to get you up to speed with everybody else with setups. They want to talk to you about it. They don't just want to give you the setup and, okay, well, we will go buy another one now. They want a personal relationship. Look them up on Facebook, McConey Setup Shop, and we'll find out more about them later. Stephen Goldner and Donovan Ross will occupy the top row. Goldner 3rd in the point standings. Chris Sebeski is on the inside of row 2 along with Kenny Miller. And remember, Kenny Miller was at the Tulsa Shootout just a couple of weeks ago. Jamie McCarron and Aiden Young are in row number 3. Jeffrey Barker and Chris Steele are in the last row. That's interesting because they know each other and they are at the back of the pack together. Again, 8 laps, top 4 is going to get you in, Joe.
Yes, it is. Donovan Ross up front with Stephen Goldner there, like you said. Chris Sebeski right there along with him. Kenny Miller, like you said, he's a real style racer out there. So interesting if we get to talk to him again. We've talked to Lane Snook on the mini sprints, mini sprints, and on how it reflects to real, and it is. And he had an interesting insight on that. I'd like to see what Kenny's thought is on how he feels these things are as opposed to the real ones. It's not going to ever be a one-to-one, folks, okay? iRacing is probably the realest thing that you're going to get without spending millions of dollars, I always say, to go real racing. Yes. But to me, it's one of the closest aspects that you can do. It's a tool to use just like anything, fighter pilots or plane pilots.
Yeah, they use simulators a lot.
A lot to use them. So it's definitely a tool to use, and it's fun to get out here. Whether you call it a simulator or a game, either way, saying game around certain people, you get really mad.
I know. I've gotten in trouble for that too. But they say one of two things usually, Joe. They say either real racing helps them in iRacing, or iRacing helps them in the real world. It's usually one of the two, and it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other. As we are ready for the green, and there it is. We're racing here at Williams Grove.
Yeah, Williams Grove. We're off here in the Elite Series tonight. Oswego Speedway Race Source Elite Series. Stephen Goldner out front leading it right now. Donovan Ross, and they're already tagging each other. I've told you these guys have got some wicked slide jobs happening tonight. They're putting it on the moves on them up here. Look at Donovan Ross, though, trying to see what he can do. Aiden Young, unfortunately, crashing in the back along with Jeffrey Barker and company back there. They are not having the night that they want early on, but still up front. Battles on for second. Kenny Miller, look at him, trying to throw it on the outside, and he's going to throw it too far in the wall.
Yeah, got a little contact there, and that's going to cost him third place as Chris Sabeski gets by. There goes Donovan Ross down on the inside. Once again, Ross was actually the car that did get in the wall. Yeah. And you can tell on this shot here, those things don't go straight very long, do they, Joe?
They do not, and it looks like what you was talking about before. Now, these are open-style setups these guys have got, but the problem is this place is almost a flatter-style track. There is not much of a banking there. Now, they'll run that cushion up there and get them a little bit of a banking going. You still got a single-file freight train happening with Stephen Goldner. So with it being as flat as it is, you're more prone to sliding, and we have seen it. When guys try to go low, the cars go shooting straight up the track and normally right into that wall. Kenny Miller hanging on a second, trying to see if he can't reel in Stephen Goldner, who is out front right now running it. Stephen Goldner, I tell you, he is a high-line guy. We saw him last week at Lernersville. Man, he ran the numbers there.
And one of the things that also makes this track interesting, and you'll see it here when we go to the camera here on the backstretch, there's an entrance to the track off the backstretch. And see how the wall juts out a little bit right there at the bridge? It's amazing how that little, I don't know if it's 6 inches a foot, 2 feet, but that can have an impact too. That's where Lane Snook ended up, was right in over there when he spun out.
I'll get a good shot here of it if we can, with right along with Chris as he's closing in on Kenny Miller
right here on the right
there. Yeah, if you do not, if you're not very careful where you are placing your wheels, you can catch that wall very quickly, and you see how fast it comes up on you as the white flag flies. Stephen Goldner's got a pretty good lead, as it looks like Chris is going to settle in here as he come out of final turns down the stretch, and you see how what Kenny did right there. He kind of got away from it, as opposed to Chris stayed up against the wall. So a little bit of danger zone, but man, what a race here. Stephen Goldner puts it in victory lane.
Kenny Miller gets second, Chris Sabeski third. Donovan Ross does hold on to the last qualifying spot. And one of the things, like we were saying, that does make this place unique is they are pitted in the infield here. So if you're wondering, why is that little area there on the backstretch anyway? That's where they come in, okay? They bring their haulers and drive through there to get to the infield. Qualifying heat race number 3 brought to us by Howard Hanna Real Estate. They are the #1 family-owned and operated independent broker in the country. I didn't know that, and chances are you probably didn't either. So if you did, I know I've seen their signs all over the place, and I kind of wondered, gee, how big are they really? And obviously they're pretty darn big. So no matter where you are, whether you're down in North Carolina where Joe is, or you're up in New York State paying lots of taxes, or whether you want to live somewhere down in Florida, contact Scott Hurwitz. That's 2 T's at the end, S. Hurwitz at Ymail, and he will find you the right house for the right price. So, Joe, if you're looking for that new place, now you know where to go.
Hey, I got a real quick before you do that grid, and we're looking at this overhead shot right fast. You talk about, look at that, turns 1 and 2. They got a heck of a cushion, but 3 and 4, there's just nothing right there. So, we'll have to see how that plays a factor in as the night goes on.
And you can see how much narrower it is. in 3 and 4 also. That's another big factor. Jesse Bandy's 157 on the front row with Jeff Flaro. Keith Jackson's had some strong runs lately. He's with Ross Carrenta. Carrenta was the fastest qualifier. He starts 4th, 2nd in the point standings, by the way. Randolph and Larry Moody. I think you were saying that for a while too, Joe. Andy Patton and Terry Landis are in the last row. So we have got some good ones going here, as this is the final qualifying heat. The cars that do not end up in the top 4 will go to the consolation race, which will take place right after this.
And I want to go ahead and say apologize to the league and the sponsors and everyone out there. If I mispronounce your name, if I get in the heat of the moment, I say something just off the wall, y'all can yell at me after the race, and I'll take it, because, and I tell you, I just get mixed up, and sometimes I see a word, and for some reason it's how my brain works, which doesn't work a lot, and I have to kind of like, kick it in high gear like you guys are on the track. Sometimes I see something and it just comes out in my mouth like, bleh, and then I go back and I look at it and I'm going, wait a minute, that ain't how it's supposed to be said.
We all do it, so I always say my brain gets ahead of my mouth, and the mouth can't catch up sometimes. So that's how it works with me anyway. And they've tested me, trust me. Okay, they have tested me. So that's how you know you're.
They ain't said. They just said there's no hope for you, Joe.
Oh, 3rd grade, they were like, something's going on here. We need to take a look at this. But anyway, we're going back to racing here in qualifying heat race number 3. Jesse Bandy and Jeff Flaro. Now, they'll actually get the green a little further down the straightaway than some tracks right about now. Green is out.
And I see that, but now one of the things is, and most leagues, I don't know if here, they have the option that they could probably go as soon as the truck goes in. But you see Jeff already getting knocked back to 5th place. Started out front. Jess Bandy, though, was the man out front with Ross Carrente. Here they come up there on that side. Look at this 3-wide battle. Keith Jackson in the middle right there along with it. You got some guys high, you got some guys low. So right now the multi-style grooves are working here at Williams Grove. Definitely a good race here in our heat race here tonight is Jesse Bandy out front leading. Everybody's up that top side now.
I see some guys back there, 5th and 6th that are down there. Landis is down there. Who else is down there? I can't tell quite who that is. He's there. He is. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, never mind Andy Patton. Well, he was down there until we started talking some good stuff about it, and then he got clobbered. Terry Landis, like you said, is down there. Larry Moody along with him. Jesse Bandy still the man out front so far, though.
And now down to the inside, Carrenta took a look that time. And Carrenta in the 10 tends to be a bottom feeder, although this time I think that's Keith Jackson taking a look. I think he just got the slide job up to 2nd.
Look at that slider move there. Wasn't able to make the slide job happen, but Keith Jackson takes over 2nd place, trying to work over Bandy, who was out front. Let's see if Keith's going to be able to throw one in the inside. We're riding along here with Ross to see what he sees, and right now he's trying to work over the back end there. Jackson, he's going to put a slide job on him, not going to stick. Oh, leader's on the wall.
Oh,
wow, just like that, night's done. Oh,
he's still 3rd.
He is still 3rd for the moment. Here comes Jason, though he's going to try to take it away from him, but Jesse Bandy just destroying the outside wall. Wow.
And Jason had all the momentum where Bandy's car almost came to a stop, so that was a pass that we knew was going to happen. Out in front, though, you just saw it. Keith Jackson, our new leader, with 2 laps to go.
He did. Shotgun that thing to the outside, was able to take over the top spot. Ross Carrente is going to see if he can't get back there, cool the tires down just a little bit, make one more dash effort here to take a slide job on him on the inside. If he can get close enough, as we should get the white flag here this time around, and we do. So one more time, does Ross have enough to run him down?
I would think no, because look at the lead that Jackson's already built up. He appears to have the fastest car, and if you're wondering, Jesse Bandy is holding on to the last qualifying spot, just a 2nd ahead of Terry Landis as the checkered is waving.
And he threw a Hail Mary there on the last turns, but Ross wasn't able to get it done. That's it. Keith was able to pull this one off, and Jason hangs on to the 3rd, and Jesse Bandy back and forth, unfortunately leading this one. But just like that, how the tables can turn very quickly. We're going to see that as we get later on in the evening here with our feature, folks. Guys, this place is seemed, like you said, it seems tough.
It is. And Jesse Bandy, boy, that could have gone a lot worse for him after leading and then crashing, but he still managed to get the final qualifying spot. So, yeah, he's not exactly happy about it, but he could have felt a lot worse. The B-Main brought to us by Velocity Race Designs. Whether you want something new for your real car or a retro throwback for your hero for the sim, they have got you covered. Look them up on Facebook. Velocity Race Designs, our sponsor here of the B-Main. And, of course, we always want to say thanks to Washweekend Speedway Race Source for their help here on Wicked Wednesday. Nice thing is everybody's going to get in. Jeff Fitzpatrick, Chris Steele on the front row, Terry Landis, Jonathan Short in row 2, Jamie McCarron and Jeff Flaro in row 3, Dakota Kuhn, Aiden Young, row 4, Larry Moody, Lane Snook, row 5, and Jeffrey Barker and Andy Patton. And if the name sounds familiar, he's A&J Custom Creations. He sponsored heat race number 1. So everybody's going to get in. So this is for track position. The way they finish is the way they will start in positions 13 through 24. Boy, this is, I don't know, Joe. A lot of the times by the time we're at the CONC, we're noticing trends. We're noticing things. I don't know what we're noticing so far tonight.
No. Well, one thing is these guys are putting some wild sliders on them, and I think a lot of that is the product of the track that they're able to. When they're able to, is I think they just have to be able to make that move. 2, I think we've seen the inside work. Only for a moment, though. I don't think running the inside. I don't think we've seen anybody constantly run the inside, but we've seen somebody utilize the inside to make a pass. And I think that's probably the best way you want to do it. I'd say how it plays out here in the Consolation.
They will learn, and a lot of these drivers who are in this Consolation race finished laps down in their earlier heat races. So the other thing I think here, Joe, is, boy, if you didn't do well in your heat race, you really need to get a rhythm going here.
Yes, you do. So it's set here to go green flag. Jeff Fitzpatrick out front. We got Chris Steele along with him. Terry Landis up there and John Short. Flag is about to fly as the pace truck's going to duck them.
You can see they're driving under the bridge on the backstretch. We almost put a dent in the bridge in that first qualifying heat. You guys from Williams Grove know, I would imagine somebody's hit that thing at one time or another, but none that I know of. As the green flag is out, Fitzpatrick's in the yellow car on the inside. Steele is outside of him, and the green is out. 10 laps the distance here.
10 laps, like you said, a wild one here is Chris Steele out front along with Jeff, and you can already see right now Jeff's on that inside, Chris is on the high side. Let's see if Jeff's going to be able to utilize it and throw a slide job on the inside of him. Not right now as they do some synchronized sliding. Jeff's there. Here comes Terry Landis on the inside, though. He's got a battle with John Short.
You were wondering if somebody was going to run the bottom all the way around the track. Well, that's what Terry Landis is doing right now, and he's actually got a couple of cars behind him. Jeff Flaro doing the same thing. There we go. Nicely orchestrated down the backstretch.
Yeah, it was, and you see Short goes to the inside. For the moment, he's got that second place spot. He completes the move. Is he going to see if he's going to take the lead? He's going to try it. No, the car just slides up the track a little bit. They lose all kinds of momentum. And unfortunately, that's going to leave the back door open for Jeff right there, who's going to be able to slide it up there to the top side. But here comes Short back down on the inside again.
Well, when you're doing a slide job like that, Joe, and you realize you've reached that point where it's not going to work, then you got to pedal, and that's why Short lost the distance there.
They did. He lost all kinds of momentum, but he still was able to maintain it, and he got contact into the wall, was able to hang on to it. Not sure who that is back there trying to hang on to it. Well, never mind. He was hanging on to it, then he got slid around. Wow, just like that, no caution because the guys was able to keep it, straight. Look at this battle going on around about 4th or 5th place spot. That's Aiden Young. He's trying to get up there with Lane Snook.
And the guy who was out there that ended up getting the bad end of that deal was the 51 of Jonathan Short. Goes from racing for second to running 11th as we are halfway home here in the CONC.
Halfway home, like you said. Now out front, it's all Chris Steele for the moment. The battle's on for second, though. You got Terry Landis and Jeff right there. Dakota Kuhn, though, is going to bring it up into the mix a little bit here. There's one down low and a couple up high. As most everybody's committed to the high, you got a couple cars down there on the low side. I just don't know if it's by choice or just by they're trying to see if they can't get some grip down there.
Yeah, and Terry Landis and Aiden Young are the two cars that are running low, pretty much exclusive. We do see some other guys dipping down as here's the move for second as Dakota Kuhn. Nice slide job.
Yeah, it is. Slide job, put it on there. Dakota did. Was able to take over second as Chris is loving what he's seeing in the rear view there. But look out. Here comes Jeff. Beautiful pass. Was able to not complete it there. And throws him back into Aiden Young.
So Young gets by. That was I don't know if we used the word I'm thinking of, but an aggressive move, let's say, to try to squeeze it in there. 3 wide. You know the word I wanted to use there. 3 wide for 4th.
At 3 wide. Oh, Terry Landis clips the wall a little bit. It's going to keep all his momentum. Lane Snooks up to the 5th place, trying to work over Jeff. From what I've seen so far, I mean, just don't count anybody out.
No.
We've seen some guys just travel through the field here with the way that these cars are acted up, and we got a battle for the lead. Dakota Kunas run him down last lap, white flag. They're going to storm it off down the bad stretch for the final time. Is he going to have enough to hang on?
Steele's on the bottom, Coons on the high side. As Young watches from 3rd, checkered flag is waving. Who's it going to be? Coon by about a car length and a half. Yep.
Boy, he actually, I don't know if you saw that, going into 3, he lost the lead, still stayed down low, but Coon made that run on the high side and was powered through.
Well, if you're on the outside, theory is you can get into the gas a little bit quicker. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to say hello to a couple of sponsors during this break, and then we'll be back with feature action tonight here as Wicked Wednesday continues at Williams Grove.
Yeah, we'll be right back here, folks. So don't go anywhere.
At McConey Setup Shop, we offer custom-built setups for any asphalt oval car. Prices starting at just $5. Weekly setups available for all Legends, late models, modifieds, and NASCAR trucks, Xfinity, and Cup cars. Do you need one-on-one driver coaching? We've got you covered. Visit www.McConeySetupShop.com and find yourself in Victory Lane. McConey Setup Shop, handling all your setup needs so you don't have to.
Welcome back to Williams Grove Speedway, Wicked Wednesday here in the Ashweekend Speedway Race Source Elite Division. These are the best sprint car drivers we have here in the GForce Racing League, taking on one of the more storied racetracks in sprint car history. You've heard of the PA Posse. Well, Williams Grove is where they call home.
I thought they were super late model guys, though.
There's World of Outlaw late models and World of Outlaw sprints.
But I thought
the sprints
the
have been
PA
around.
Posse guys, I thought they were all super late models.
Nope, they're all sprint guys.
And the reason I bring that up is because the Kyle Larson went from the sprints over to the things, and it was a big uproar about, oh yeah, he's going up against the best super late model guys, and then he went out there and killed them all.
And the thing with the late model series, there's the Lucas Oil and there's also the World of Outlaws, and they go back and forth as to which one has the best drivers. But the best sprint car drivers tend to run with the World of Outlaws. There's the All-Stars, which pretty much run Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana area there. But again, I wanted to make sure we talked about Icon Sim Sports. Make sure to look them up. You saw that spot that they ran there, and yes, they do have a big and tall shop, so Joe and I would be okay. iconsimsports.com is how you can find out more. Make sure to check out NSM Photos Driver of the Week. That is on the GForce page. And remember, go to GForce RL. There's leagues all the time, and you can find out about the cool stuff Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday. Also, they're doing stuff there, so there's always something going on. Our replays for the future brought to us by Milcom Mills. They are a full-service mill writing contractor specializing in welding, custom welding and fabricating. MMMillwriting.com. 2W's Hard Charger Award. They are sponsoring the Hard Charger. 2W's Plumbing LLC. They're out in Western New York. Make sure to look them up. And all of our competitors tonight are trying to get to Epsilon Sprint Wraps Victory Lane. Whew, there we go, Joe. All set, and the field is all set as we will be going green here momentarily.
And we will, and it's been a wild one tonight. And, once you start putting 24 cars out here, even though it's a bigger track, it's just what we've seen. The way this track is interacting with these cars, they're sliding all over the place. It looks like they're being tight coming out of the turns. Not seen a dominant groove yet. If I had to pick, maybe the high lane coming off of turns, but you're able to pass down low, and usually that's a good sign for drivers in the back to be able to move up as we're getting set to grid this thing up.
They're coming out right now. G.J. Boydell will be on the pole. Outside of him will be Steven Goldner. And Goldner, of course, won. He's third in the points. He won the street stock race last week. Keith Jackson, Kyle Moonen in row number 2. Kenny Miller was fastest in that hot lap session that we just ran. He's inside row number 3 with Ross Carinta. Preston Kramer, Chris Sabaskey are in row number 4, Sabeski. Jason Randolph and Robert Satterfield are in row 5. Donovan Ross, Jesse Bandy, row 6. Dakota Kuhn, Chris Steele, row 7. Aiden Young, Jeff Fitzpatrick are in row number 8. We're in the Consi cars now. Lane Snook, Terry Landis, row 9. Jeff Floro, Larry Moody, row 10. Jonathan Short, Jamie McCarron in row number 11. And rounding out the field at the back of the pack will be Jeffrey Barker and Andy Patton. This race will be 30 minutes. Caution laps do not count. So this is going to be a fun one here from the home of sprint car racing down in Williams Grove.
Absolutely. Now, I got to ask, you was talking about Williams Grove. What's the difference? What would be the major difference between Williams Grove as far as popularity-wise goes as opposed to Knoxville? Because ain't that the home of there's
there's two different worlds, really. I mean, when you get out to Knoxville, you're out in Iowa, and central part of the country, sprint car racing is probably maybe even, I hate to misspeak here, but I know in Pennsylvania you've got Port Royal, Lincoln, and Williams Grove, which are the three pretty much that make up the circuit there. So that's a hard question to answer, Joe. Different bunch, but of course Knoxville, when they do their big race, that is not part of the World of Outlaws Tour. They have a qualifying procedure that is different from what the World of Outlaws are. But I mean, you go weekly sprint car racing. This is weekly 410 racing right down here at Williams Grove and at all those tracks we just talked about. So this is stuff you can see on a weekly basis, which is rare in the country today.
Sounds good. Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things I would say that as far as when it goes to sprint cars on dirt, probably got to be one of the most popular in real life.
Yes.
Now on iRacing, I would say probably the super late models are probably the most popular. Really? It's kind of usually a polar opposite right there. And I guess it's the driving characteristics of the car. You don't see a lot of 410 wing sprint leagues out there that run. They are out there, but the numbers, it's more of on iRacing, I would say, super late models. Or it was. Now, it could have changed, course of time, but I feel like super late models is really, really a big one. But in the real world, sprint cars definitely, I'd say, is the top call when it comes to dirt racing, and rightfully so, because, hey, these things are fun to watch, and just they're loud and angry.
No mufflers on them, open headers on these cars. What a start for Stephen Goldner on the outside as he takes the lead here as we work lap number 1 and get ready to drive under the bridge in the backstretch.
Stephen Goldner's seen enough, man. He needs to see on those Constellation heats. He says, I'm out of Dodge right now. Behind him, you got Ross Corrente, G.J. Boydell, and Keith Jackson back there all messing it up as they're throwing haymakers at each other left and right. Keith Jackson in the mix of it. Look at this 2-wide battle.
Maybe 3 wide. Oh, somebody sideways there as they came out of the corner. I think they're piling up over there in turn number 2.
Oh, and it is. It's in the back there. We're seeing it live as it happens right there. That's Terry Landis
came back on his wheels.
And Jamie McCarron was the one who was flipping sideways, end over end, under caution. But that started up front, and you already saw these guys. They were getting so out of shape, and whoever's driving the pace truck, boy, he looks like he's in the race too. He comes through the field through that. Yeah, I'm hard charging.
Only had a couple of laps in there, but already Ross Correnta went 6th to 2nd, Robert Satterfield 10th to 6th, and Chris Steele 14th to 7th. And how about Donovan Ross? Let me see, is that who it is? No, Larry Moody 20th to 12th. So in 2 laps, people have already made a lot of moves out here. And unfortunately for, let me see, it's Kyle Moonen. He started 4th. He's now 20th.
And the thing about it is obviously in racing, there's 2 ways to make moves. Pass everybody on the track, be the fastest. Do it on pit road if you're on the oval side of things.
Right. Or
people just get into trouble. A lot of times when you have tracks like tonight or any of the other style tracks that you can see it's really hard to pass and there's maybe one groove and you see that you're not going to be able to make it up there. A lot of time attrition will play a factor in it. I said that word right. But,
you're right. You got it.
And, cars will just drop out, and then you'll just make your way to the front. And then maybe you can get it. Because at a certain point, you will be able to make it to the front. But there's a flip side of that. To a certain point of being in the back, you can't make it to the front. Not taking nothing away from your skill. It's just the track and the car and everything that you kind of been dealt there tonight that just want to allow it to come to the front.
Well, what's one of the old adages in racing? In order to finish first, you must first finish.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
So stay out of trouble, pick and choose your moments. And because that's one of the other things is if you try to force a pass, and if you're catching the guy in front of you, you don't want to overdrive the next corner because the reason you were catching him is because you were doing everything right. But it's so easy to say, I'm going in a little harder, and next thing you know, you've got trouble. Stephen Goldner got a great start, gets an even better restart this time as we are back to green working lap 3.
Jackson did not. He was doing the Joe Chitwood show routine there on 2 wheels coming out of it because you saw everybody just go down there and kind of hug, shave the wall on the start to try to give nobody an advantage to slide down on the inside, but Keith Jackson just did not benefit from that. Up front, everybody's single file for the moment as you've got Stephen Goldner out front. Let's go back in the very back here because we got some cars around. Still green, though. They're able to keep going. That's Dakota Kuhn.
Yeah, Dakota Kuhn, who made a nice move at the end of his heat race to get a win, and now he's all the way at the back of the pack, although that was the Consi, actually, that he won there. But, of course, these sprint cars are always more power than you can ever handle, so when the track gets tacky, they do wheelies, and it's very easy to get the front wheels off the ground on the restart.
It is. I mean, you're talking about the 360 wing sprints. I mean, you get in that 410, and that's just all powered right there. Jeffrey Barker, we know he's able to get things done, but he's one of the guys we're talking about. He's back here in 18th. Just not, it's part of the track, just not able to get through the field. Everybody's just dead even right now. You see a wild battle in front of him there, up a little bit around with Terry Landis, Lane Snook and Company. They're 2 and 3 wide, putting some sliders on each other. As right now you still got Stephen Goldner out front leading this one, but you just see it's so dead even back there in the back.
And what was going on, I've been watching the battle out front. Correnta actually caught up to Goldner, but actually got him into the back, and so he's kind of fallen back a little bit from Goldner. And if anything, it looks like Kenny Miller. Yeah, Kenny Miller's just taken over second spot with a nice move there.
Well, got a new Kenny out there that I can yell for now. Yeah, so Kenny's looking pretty good. He's up in the second. Ross right there hanging on the third. Ross going to see if he can't get up there and rattle his cage just a little bit and see if he can't take that second place. Now Stephen Goldner has fallen down to the inside lane. You said earlier on, was the inside going to come in? I think now he's utilizing it. But let's see how long he stays down there because we're familiar with Stephen staying up high. But if he's found something, then, hey, if it works, it works.
It looks like it did because the margin just grew a little bit. And with each end of this track being so different, running low at one end might not work at the other.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kenny Miller, though, he's running high lane and is able to make something work. Boy, he threw that thing in there and got way up there, trading a little bit of paint. He put some rubber on the tire wall there as you see him coming out of the turn. Kenny Miller right now is trying to give Stephen Goldner everything he can, and for the moment, he's got the lead.
Wow, look how far out he's driving. Yeah, you're right. The white letters might be off that tire, and we have got a new leader into 3, but let's see how Goldner does in the bottom here coming out of 4.
Yeah, you just got to see, and this would be the kind of the telltale. If you can see that high lane just gets that drive off the turn. As caution's out, I think it's Terry Landis is the man that's around.
Oh.
Back on the Malcolm Mills replay, see what happened to him, and got off the track, but going him right here a little bit further. He's lost his front wing there.
Oh, that's never good.
No, it blew up. It blew up and
really?
Yeah, you saw it right there. Puff smoke out the back.
So wrong gearing, perhaps?
Could have been.
The only reason that could handle,
or damage
right?
to it. Could have been damage to the motor because he lost that front wing there. And
I've let him idle too long in the pits and hurt motors that way because these engines don't like to do that.
On iRacing, I mean, if you take a certain amount of impact or so forth, I mean, you can over-rev on iRacing and blow it up, but you take a certain amount of impact on iRacing, and it happens a lot in the oval side with the NASCAR stuff because you crunkle the front end of it, you hurt the motor, and you stay out there too long revving it up, it'll running around, it'll eventually just go boom on you. Could have been the same scenario there, not 100% sure. Obviously, his front nose was gone, so he did take a hit somewhere on the front end. And again, anybody out there that knows on the iRacing, because I have never run any other sprints on dirt here on iRacing. So if there's a hard enough hit on the front nose of these things, especially hard enough to knock that wing off, can it put engine damage on?
Move the radiator, perhaps, something like that. Or,
there you go. It'd be interesting to hear out there in the chat from someone, just to see, because that's kind of what I'm looking at that might have happened right there.
And you know what else happened there? You saw Kenny Miller take the lead right before the yellow came out, but obviously there's loops around the track, kind of like in NASCAR. So they did give Stephen Goldner the lead back, so he is going to have to try to get by again. So I think we just set ourselves up for a wonderful restart here, Joe.
We did, and so it's going to be a good one here as pace trucks in, green flag's about to fly.
Goldner, another good start. Wow, that might have been the best one he's had so far, as Kenny Miller's got a lot of company, 3 wide right now for second with Chris Steele in the middle.
Chris Steele in the middle is, like you said, right there up front. That's about the 5th place spot as Stephen Goldner still holds it down, but Preston Kramer is another one there in the mix, 3 wide. He's going to thread the needle. Who that was down low? Looks like Jesse Bandy back up front. Boy, I tell you what, Jesse's been able to have a move back to the front.
And Preston Kramer, we don't see him out in the top 5 a lot here lately. And he started back in 7th place. He's up to 4th. Bandy started 12th. He's up to 5th. And Chris Steele 14th to 3rd. So here goes Miller again on the outside. Took a lap or 2 for those tires to warm up, but he's back out front.
Yes, he is. And Preston Kramer right here, right along with him. He's up there into the 4th place spot. Seeing what these guys are going to do up here. He decided to calculate his move on what he wants to do to see if he can't get up there and take the lead away from him and steal this one tonight. So all the VP man himself, but he's got Jesse Bandy right there.
Jesse.
Yeah, tagging him a little bit.
And also getting by, that was Keith Jackson in the 13. So that little bobble right there cost Preston Kramer 2 spots. Biggest lead of the race so far for Kenny Miller, 0.6 of a second. As you can see, Goldner continuing to run the bottom as we look a little bit further back at the action here on the backstretch.
Looking at it further back, like I said, but back up front, Stephen Goldner's there in second, and Kenny Miller's been able to find a way to get around, and both guys are back down low there, along with Chris Steele. Jesse Bandy is down low, so the top 4 guys are doing that low line. You still got Keith Jackson staying up high, so a little further on back here to roundabout Lane Snook and company. Heck, getting further back, Kyle Moon and Larry Moody right there. All those guys are putting out was 4 wide coming out of the turn.
And that's for like 14th place. So, that's the one thing that's nice about iRacing is it doesn't matter sometimes what's going on up front. And we're showing this because the leaders are kind of strung out a little bit right now. Kenny Miller has a 3/4 second lead on Stephen Goldner, and Goldner is a good 2 seconds ahead of Chris Steele. So that's why we're looking a little bit further back here.
Got to look at all the action throughout. Up front, they got it going on in the middle and the back right now. Like I said, about 11th place spot there. Ross Corrente. Look at this 4 wide train wreck about to happen here. Donovan Ross is in the mix. Larry Moody's there. John Short, G.J. Bordell. You got some heavy hitter names here in the Oswego Speedway Race Corps Elite Series here for the 360 wing sprints tonight. As still Kenny Miller's walking away with this one. He's got about a half-second lead, if not more, on Stephen Goldner. So it's definitely a good fight back here in the back.
Yeah, and Goldner's sticking to that low line where Miller's looking around a little bit more. And the yellow is out. Long green flag run there, though.
Yeah, John Short was involved in that with Jamie. See what happened here. I'm not sure if it was Short that initially was in it or just wrong place, wrong time.
Short's the 51, by the way, on the outside.
Red car right there. By himself right now, so that's kind of going to give. I think Jamie might have got. Oh well, he caught the wall.
The inside.
Oh, and then Jamie just nowhere to go. Maybe thought he was going to be able to just slide down low. It's calculations.
Well, as we've noticed, the bottom does seem to be a little bit faster, and a lot of times the lower you can go and get into that browner clay, the more bite you're going to get. But obviously there is that limit. I think he just caught one of those utility tires, uke tires they call them in this part of the country, and that's all it took. Yeah, they call them powdered donuts. One of the guys who works here locally always refers to them that way. So will Kenny Miller continue to drive away, or has the track changed? Can Stephen Goldner catch him? And how about Chris Steele, 14th to 3rd? Does he maybe have something now that he can restart behind the leaders? We're going to find out as we have 12 to go.
Yeah, you're right. You got 12 to go, but you brought up something really interesting right there. Has the track changed? I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes, because Kenny ran that high lane and ran down Stephen Goldner, and Stephen was committed to the low line the whole entire time. Now Kenny's back down low and able to stay in front of Stephen. So I don't know, unless that middle high lane comes into play, and my dog in the background agrees with everything I said.
He did.
So, yeah, he was agreeing with it. He was like, hey, it sounds good to me. Let's get it on as we're about to get set to go back green. I don't know. Unless Stephen finds something new here, it's going to be Kenny.
And, of course, Steven's starting on the outside, which is not where he has been running. As of now, our 2Ws Plumbing hard charger would be Lane Snook. He has picked up 8 spots, 17th to 9th. So we'll see what goes on here on this restart. Again, Miller has had the lead. He had a half a second lead before we went yellow. Can he keep it? We're ready to go back to racing.
About to racing here, like you said, going to be about 12 to go when they cross the line. Pace trucks in is Kenny Miller and Stephen Goldner. And out front, Kenny got a good start. Chris is going to be the one right there, but look out. Kenny goes back high. Stephen's going to go back low. Let's see if it's going to pay dividends for old Kenny, and it does right now.
Wow, look at this going down the backstretch. Big lead already for Kenny Miller. You're watching 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th right there. Goldner, I think, just lost 2nd place.
Yeah, he did. Well, no, Stephen Goldner's still in 2nd place, and Chris Steele, that's Dakota Coon.
Yellow.
And Jesse Bandy and Preston Kramer involved in this one in the back here.
He was in the top 5 just a few laps ago.
But it's also had Larry Moody involved. There was a mess back here. Watching this on the Malcolm Mills replay. Now they went in there. Oh, look at that.
Oh, no.
Larry Moody almost got carried out the track.
I didn't know you could get off the track over there.
Oh, look, he's going to do the mosquito.
There it is. Yep, the mosquito. You smack it off your arm.
And he made it back on his wheels. Look at that. I love the sprint cars when they do that. It's funny when they do it. They spin around and around and around and around like a dead mosquito. I know,
I've never seen them jump on their wheels again like that, though. That was cool. So
anybody out there listening, tuning in, they're probably like, what in the world is this announcer guy talking about mosquitoes? Man, we're watching racing, man. I know. It's
it happens when you get old like us.
Something you don't hear on ESPN or something. I'm sorry.
That's right. They don't talk about mosquitoes in NASCAR racing.
They don't, man. They gotta have some fun. They don't got fun no more.
Or dead turtles or any of that stuff.
You know, no more.
Like,
That's what
you
it is.
have
They took
fun.
out of the racing world. Folks, I'm gonna tell you what. If you don't want to hear fun, look up a guy called Barney Hall and go back and listen to some of his things that he did in NASCAR back in the day. We're talking back in the 80s now, okay? 90s. And listen to some of the
real stock cars, yeah.
Listen to some of his references he did coming out of turn 4 side by side. They're jumping like a bunch of bullfrogs coming out. Listen to some of the references he says, folks, and then tell me the difference in the age. But anyways, I ain't going to get into that.
Okay.
We're having fun here tonight. These guys are having fun on the track, and it's awesome. We're here tonight with the elite, with the Oswego Speedway Race Corps Elite Series. These guys, you just can't just come out here and jump into the series. You got to work your way in here. Some of the best of the best. And then you got to stay here once you're here too. Yeah, so you've got to maintain and stay. So that's another thing. You got to maintain, like you said. And I think tonight they're just fighting a tough track with a very fast car. By the way, our 2Ws Plumbing hard charger right now would be Chris Steele, 14th to 3rd. So he has picked up 11 spots so far. I'm still wondering if he's got anything here for the leaders, but we're going to find out. Again, they've swapped lanes again, so you'll probably see Kenny Miller in the white car go high by the time they get to turn 1, and Goldner will duck back down to the bottom as we're back racing again. Yeah, and you just see that advantage that the leader gets, and then you see old Stevens trying to do what he can to dive on the inside, but that outside lane with that momentum coming off the turn is just too much. So I don't know if he's going to be able to. Right behind him, though, look at Chris Steele trying to throw his name in the mix here. Now, but after a while, you'll see Kenny Miller. If it goes green for any amount of time, he'll eventually will drop down. But right now, battle's on for second. We got a battle around 5th or 6th place spot. And I wonder, too, if Goldner, who tends to be a bottom feeder, might have set the gear up to run there, because that won't matter as much maybe at a short track, but a big track like this, if you run out of gear at the end of the straightaway, you're in trouble. And you're right, too. I mean, that's why we're seeing him get so much momentum going into the turn. But that outside lane is just shooting off like a rocket, and Kenny's been able to benefit from it right now. You see him lose a lot of momentum going in, and then right there he closed it. He closed the door right there. Now, the problem with doing that with anybody is when you close the door like that, you take a chance of getting your car very tight and losing a lot of momentum. Probably the best thing to do is, even though that Steven was able to get a good run on him that time, is to stay committed to the high side, because every time you want to dive down like that, it does kind of upset your rhythm. Right now it's working for Kenny, though. I'll give him credit. And he is doing something different here. I've been watching the last couple laps. He's been up high the last couple times through 1 and 2, but through 3 and 4, he kind of drops down about to the middle off the exit. So I'm wondering if maybe the outside's getting a little burned up over there in turn 4. I don't know. John Short around with Larry Moody, unfortunately, able to keep it going. Look at this battle. This is around about the 10th place. 8th, 9th, 10th place spot. Keith Jackson, Ross Corrente, Jesse Bandy right there. Those guys are putting sliders on each other left and right. And again, this is just inside the top 10. Correnta's the car you see there, the white and red number 10. He's kind of running middle right there. Keith Jackson's on the outside in the white and black car, and he's running pretty much the same line our leader is. Yes, it is. Kyle Moonen right there hanging on to the 5th place. As you still see right there in your screen, Kenny Miller's walking away from Stephen Goldner up front, but a battle is happening back here around 5th on back. This is Kyle Moon is hanging on the 5th. Right behind him, Ross Corrente is there. Go right behind them were Chris Sebeski and Jesse Bandy. Those guys, man, are throwing some left and right moves on them. About 7th, 8th, and 9th place spot. Leaders are just getting the 2 to go this time, so we're completing lap number 28 as this thing is winding down. Just ahead of this, Dakota Kuhn is going to the outside of Chris Steele, and he may have position number 3. Yeah, I think he's got it. Yeah, I'll tell you what, so let's go back to Dakota Kuhn right there. The battle's on with Stephen Goldner, as Goldner's still hanging down low. White flag, won't matter what happens. Race official at this moment. Kenny's just got to keep going where he is. But let's see, can Dakota Kuhn steal away 2nd place from Stephen Goldner? He's right there at him. So Miller in front, Goldner 2nd, Kuhn racing Steele there. Steele's the 80 that you see as the leader is going to come by. The checkered flag is out. Kenny Miller gets the win. Stephen Goldner in 2nd. Dakota Kuhn does get a podium finish as he heads up in 3rd. And a nice run for him, 13th to 3rd. So, Lane Snook was the 2Ws Plumbing hard charger, 17th to 6th. Good run for the young man there. Was an awesome run there to the end. Hats off to all these guys here tonight. Keeping the thing. It was a pretty clean race for the most part, especially what they were given out here on the track. Yeah, this is not an easy track. For those of you who have not done this or are new,
For those of you who are new, I'm sure you already know how tough this track is to get around because the ends are just so different and turn 4 just gets so very tight. But Kenny Miller with the big win, and we'll be meeting our top 3 down here in Epsilon Sprint Reps Victory Lane. Remember, they make tailor-made graphics and logos to fit your personal taste with a focus on realistic design. You'll look like you drove right off your local dirt track right here onto the screen. So make sure to look them up on Facebook as our top 3 drivers are going to join us here in just a moment at one of the more storied tracks in dirt track racing. Kenny Miller again with the win. Goldner led some laps early, but that bottom line, I don't know if it went away on him or what, but we're going to find out here in just a few moments.
Yes, it is. So we'll see if we can't get some of these guys up here as we'll bring up our 3rd place man, Dakota Kuhn.
Dakota Kuhn joins us here in the booth. Late race move to get up to 3rd. Boy, you were 5th on that last restart. You must have been good there at the end, Dakota.
I was good the whole race, to be honest with you. It's just hard to pass these guys. I mean, I hate to be the asshole and say that these guys aren't elite, but some of them are just all over the place. And I actually fell back to 21st at one point, and I was just ready to get up through the field, and I was on a mission.
I've always said sometimes anger is an extra 15 horsepower. So once you got back to 21st, because we saw the track change a lot, where were you, bottom, top, middle, or maybe all 3 grooves?
Honestly, I thought I was really, really good everywhere. It just got slick where I knew what to do here. I mean, real life experience kind of paid into it just by working on race cars here my whole life, just knowing where to go when it gets slick and stuff. So I was kind of all over the place.
Do you drive or work on cars or both?
Work on them. Okay,
so you've watched others do similar things in that. So I imagine that gives you a pretty nice advantage when you're trying to sit there and figure out what to do for the feature after running in the heat or maybe the consolation race.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's 2 completely different things, but you just know how to race the track and you kind of pick up some things. And plus, this is my favorite track, and
it is
everywhere. I mean, it's my home track too, so it kind of helps to have laps here.
Now, so you actually go to this place on a regular basis down in Pennsylvania?
Actually, the team I work for, we raced here a good bit, so that helps.
Nice. I've only been there once. It's amazing. You're driving around, you see all these cornfields, and then, oh my goodness, there's the racetrack, right?
Yeah, it's just one of them things. It's like I said, it's my favorite place, and I knew I was pretty good here, and some of them guys, I don't know what they're doing out there. I mean, just it is what it is. They're all out there, so you just kind of got to dodge the weapons and go from there.
Who do you want to say thank you to for your good run tonight?
I got to thank Kevin Loveys. I mean, I guess he still sponsors this deal. I mean, we're not elite anymore because we don't run every week, so we got kicked out of the official elite, so we got to run the gauntlet stuff. But I got to thank Kevin for sponsoring the deal, and you guys for broadcasting, guys putting the race on.
I'll look for you if I get down to Williams Grove next year. Good job, man. Dakota Kuhn, our 3rd place finisher here this evening, fell back to 21st, started 13th, so he probably passed more cars than anybody here this evening on his way to his podium finish. Stephen Goldner will be making his move up here in just a second. He's actually on your screen right now. Stephen Goldner ran the bottom, led some laps early, fell back a little bit late, ended up in 2nd place. Stephen, how was the race for you?
It wasn't bad. I mean, second to second, you can't complain about that, right? But we wanted that one more spot. But, I mean, Kenny was a little bit better. He had the top rolling pretty good in 1 and 2, and he definitely had the better car, I think.
Were you set up for the bottom? I mean, were you geared that way? Because it seemed like once he got in front, boy, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys saw that. I didn't come off the bottom at all there, so I was definitely set up to be down there. It wasn't really the plan. Halfway through hot laps, I kind of made a last-minute change. But, I mean, overall, I'm still happy with second, happy with the changes I made to the car, and we'll go on the next week.
So what might have made you a little better? Was it a gear issue? Was it a gear choice issue or no?
I made a whole setup and gear change, so I was kind of committed to one spot and one spot only, and we're going to try to make it work.
Still a good run, and you got to give Kenny credit. I mean, he really did seem to find something out there.
Yeah, I don't know where he started, but he was definitely...
he started 5th.
Yeah, he definitely had a good pace then, right? So, I mean, he definitely pulled away from me when he got out in front. So, it was a good race for him for sure.
And you're third in the points. Kyle Moonen, the point leader, finished a couple of spots back behind you, so you gained a little bit. So in the big picture, it's still a good night, right?
Yeah, I actually haven't even looked at the points yet for the elite, so that's pretty cool that we're sitting third.
Yeah, at any time you're, at this point, you're in the mix. That's all you need. Who do you want to say thank you to, Stephen?
Oh, I got to thank all the guys at Bandy Built, Jesse, Brennan, Fitzy, Kyle, Lane, JP and Brennan, Powerhouse Motorsports, Swagman Bros, YO.com, Bandy Built Race Cars, Velocity Race Designs, and Dirt Doctor Trucking. Good
job, Stephen.
Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoyed the broadcast.
Thank you very much. So that was it, Joe. He was set up for the bottom, and when the top came around with Kenny Miller, that was pretty much about all she wrote. So we get another chance to talk to Kenny Miller, and of course, remember he was just at the Tulsa shootout. But that sounds like that was pretty much the way it was, right, Joe?
Absolutely, and that's how it goes sometimes. You set your car up one way, and it might work, and sometimes it doesn't. So we'll have to see. And man, right here, Kenny Miller, he's got it though.
Congratulations, Kenny. Ran down Stephen Golder to get the win. Was that your plan all along to run the top, or did it just kind of work out that way?
Yeah, for the most part, I tried to set up my car to be kind of neutral in case it got kind of like a black slick all the way around, and you started kind of floating the middle to the bottom. But I guess just the way track worked out, it was really nice in 1 and 2, keeping a lot of moisture there all night, and then kind of found a nice line in 3 and 4 to kind of cut down across it all and get some speed going in the front stretch to carry me into that turn. So it all worked out good.
Was the outside, because I noticed when you did that, I think it was about like 5 or 6 to go when you started coming down a little bit more off of turn 4. Was the outside going away, or did the middle get better?
Yeah, it started to get really tricky in 3 and 4, just the way the cushion was starting to build up and get kind of rough. So I kind of saw with the lead I had that he wasn't really that close to me, so where I can kind of run a little bit more conservative. So I started running the bottom there just to be safe, just because of how tricky it was getting. And it's hard to tell sometimes with the sim how it'll throw your car around.
And 3 and 4 is tough. Let's be honest, right, Kenny?
Yeah, no, 3 and 4 is definitely a tricky turn, just with the way the wall kicks out and how narrow it gets going into 3 there. So it's a real technical track, and it's probably one of my favorite tracks to run, just because of how technical it does get and how equal. It's probably one of the most equal tracks on the sim, where you got a top and a bottom groove for most of the night.
And with all the stuff, the tires and the walls the way they are, especially inside turn 4, I would imagine running the bottom down there's got to be tough too.
Yeah, it's real tricky getting into both corners, just the way the wall kicks out. The whole thing really makes it tough to hit sometimes. And if you hit it real good, you make up a lot of cars, and if you miss it, you're getting passed by somebody. So yeah, it's a real technical racetrack, so it's a lot of fun.
Looked like you had no problem at all in 1 and 2 though.
Yeah, 1 and 2 I felt really good, just because of how much moisture was up there, and it wasn't really rough, so you can kind of just run it wherever and not get too sketchy with how close you were to the wall.
Now remember, Kenny was at the Tulsa shootout there just a couple of weeks ago. So are you one of the guys who has plans Saturday night to point yourself in front of a computer or TV and watch the Chili Bowl?
I'm actually doing it right now through this interview.
Oh, there you go. All right.
I got to pull it up on my laptop. I'm watching it right now.
What's going on right now? Where are they now?
It looks like 13 to go. I believe Rico's leading it.
Rico is. All right, so he's going to be good for Saturday. What is the toughest thing? All right, since I got you on here, we're all going to be watching it this weekend. What's the biggest difference from that track from what we might see on iRacing and what you might watch on TV to what it's really like?
Just the way the curb builds up in real life. The sim doesn't build up a curb at all, so it's definitely a lot racier in real life. Just the way the curb builds up and how much speed you carry around the top there. Yeah,
you're talking about the cushion, obviously, right?
Yeah, the cushion.
Yeah, because I've seen some races, it could be like a foot, almost 2 feet high, right?
Yeah, it builds up really good. Which again, the more it builds up, the trickier it gets to run. So it's definitely a little bit racier in real life.
Have you ever run the actual Chili Bowl?
I have not ran the Chili Bowl, no. Just the shootout.
I would think that anybody who runs the shootout, that would be the next goal, right?
Yeah, I was a little bit late to getting a ride, so I might have to work on next year.
All right.
We're going to get a ride next year.
Well, maybe we'll see you next year. We'll have one of our guys that we can root for. Who do you want to say thank you to, Kenny?
Everybody at Power Outdoors, Velocity Race Designs, Weichel Sportswear, and my good buddies at Phantom Motorsports.
When's your next race in the real world?
Probably not till mid-March.
And where's that going to be?
I think it's at Bridgeport Speedway, that newly configured track in the Wayne
Yep, the 3/8 now. Yep. Okay. And you haven't been on that new track since they shortened it, then, right?
I was on it once. We ran the series ran there once, but it kind of got a little bit of rain beforehand, so it didn't race like it should have. But it still ran real good.
I got to get down there. I haven't been down there since they redid it. Good talking to you again, Kenny. You take care of yourself, and maybe we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Kenny Miller, strong run with the win tonight, took the lead away from Stephen Goldner, and came along with our big win tonight in the Last Weekend Speedway Race Source Elite Division. Well, Joe, what do you think?
Boy, it was an exciting night between I'll get it out. Street stocks early on, the SSR street stocks, that is, and here with the Oswego Speedway Race Source Elite Series with these 360 wing sprints. I mean, the racing throughout all night long was just unpredictable and wild and crazy, and it was a great one to watch. And can't wait to the next one here. But hey, we'll be back here on Friday too, so tune in there, folks, and we got some super late model action there.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching. We want to thank you all for joining us here on Wicked Wednesdays. To find out more about the league, maybe if you want to race or just watch more races, GForceRL.com. Everything you need to know is right there. And, of course, be sure to subscribe, and that way you'll know every time that we're on the air. Joe, thank you again, sir. I always enjoy working with you. You have yourself a nice night.
You too, and I tell you what, everybody out there, have a good one. We'll see you next time.